The ASA boys are in the Buckeye State again today. One of the pole favorites at Indy never got to make a lap after trouble on Friday. And now it's NHRA's turn to deal with tragedy on the racetrack as Jerry Caminito is badly hurt. That's all next on Race Day. And good morning, everybody. I'm Pat Patterson. It has been another difficult week for the sport. There have been some serious crashes this past week, and we'll have more on them in a moment. The top story is out of Indianapolis, where the run for the 500 pole was made yesterday. Paul Tracy was considered a pole contender, but not after what happened Friday. Here with that and qualifying is Jason Young.
It's been a very safe month at the Brickyard, but good car construction doesn't hurt either. Paul Tracy, who is a certain pole contender, broke loose on Friday, and after a couple of good licks on the walls, only had his bell rung. Still, the Marlboro driver was hospitalized overnight for observation and may be released to drive today. Yesterday's pole weather was typical Indy. In other words, rain played a factor. Only 21 cars would post times between the raindrops, but as expected, the Penske Mercedes-Benz motor lived up to its practice times. Allenser Jr., who's done some long-distance testing of the power plant, strung together 4 laps at an average speed of 228.011 miles per hour. That's good for the provisional pole. Raul Bozo with Ford Power had been strong all week and can't be disappointed with the second-best effort so far with a 4-lap average of 227.6 miles per hour. Probably the biggest surprise of the abbreviated first day was rookie Jacques Villeneuve. In his Players Limited Renard, the 23-year-old posted the third-best time so far at a tick over 226. At the opposite end of the engine spectrum from Mercedes is Honda. All month, the fledgling power plant had been down on horsepower. The question was, when it came time to play, was Bobby Rahal going to be able to use expertise to overcome any mechanical shortcomings? The answer was an emphatic no. The 1986 500 champ was the second slowest of the 21 drivers, and the only one slower was teammate Mike Groff, also running a Honda. With rains leaving a number of drivers on pit road, including Emerson Fittipaldi, the pole won't be determined until sometime today, weather permitting. This is Mark Allen reporting for Race Day.
Thanks, Mark. And as the drivers and teams finished qualifying, our Ned Wicker talked with them.
Everybody didn't believe me. I was telling them that we were working hard to get it around the corner, and you know, Tracy showed that yesterday on you know, working a little bit too hard, and so you know, it was. I'm really proud of my guys. They did super.
I think the track didn't change much. It's just the ambient temperature that did. So let's see if this is you know, have a snowball and can affect the other drivers too.
I was too greedy with the boost and turned it too high, and on the last 2 laps I had to bring it down because I opened it a few times. But, you know, the speed wouldn't have been much different, I guess.
We'll just see what happens. It's going to rain like heck now, and it's going to rain all day tomorrow, supposedly. Next week could be 100 degrees, and all of a sudden 220 looks pretty good. So, yeah, we wanted to get in, and I'm glad we ran 220. I would have been a little more nervous at 219, but, you know, 220 is going to be borderline. There's no question about it. But, again, that's looking at it right now.
I think that it was a parallel path program, one on the mainstream program in kart to run the first 3 races, then, of course, getting ready for Indy. But Indy's the biggest race in the world, and we wanted to have something special. I take my hat off to the drivers, Chuck Sprague, the engine program, you know, the fellows over in England as we were moving on to have cars ready, and a 3-car team everybody said we couldn't do. So I feel good for what our people have done.
Oh, don't take that hat off. Not the one that says Mercedes-Benz. It looks like it was fitting you pretty well there, Roger. By the way, Tracy was released from the hospital this morning, but no word yet on whether he's been cleared to drive today. There was another crash in Europe with far worse results. You may have heard that Formula One driver Carl Van Lingner suffered severe head injuries in a practice crash in Monaco. Doctors have put the Austrian driver in an artificial coma to try to reduce the swelling of his brain. In response to double fatalities at San Marino and Van Lingner's crash, F1 officials have mandated the following rules changes, some of which will go into effect as early as the next race. They include reducing downforce, which will slow the cars and strengthen the suspension parts. And an autopsy has revealed that part of Ayrton Senna's suspension apparently penetrated his helmet and killed him, Car weights will also go up. Cockpit protection will be improved. Friday, the drivers held a meeting to form a union to work with the sanctioning body to have their concerns better addressed. Grand Prix of Monaco is being run today in spite of all of this, and in front of the front two rows, if you'll look there, Schumacher and Hakkinen. On the second row, it will be Berger and Hill right behind. That event almost over at this point. We may be able to give you a winner in a few minutes. In another open wheel series back stateside, round 2 of the Hooters Formula Cup looked very similar to round number 1. Anthony Lazzaro drove to victory again with Clay Collier second, followed by Barfield, Conzer, and Jim Guthrie. Highlights, of course, of that race and the USAC F2000 season opener tonight on Race Day at 8:30. Stand by, everybody. We've got more of Race Day to come. We'll be back with all of that in just a moment.
Race Day is brought to you in part by Jiffy Lube. If it doesn't say Jiffy Lube, it isn't. By Mopar Chrysler Corporation Parts. And the Chrysler Plymouth, Dodge Truck, Jeep and Eagle dealers who sell and install them. And by Red Wing Shoes, best friends your feet ever had.
Welcome back live to Race Day, everybody. There's the new racing logo behind me. Pickup trucks have always been an important part of racing. If they're not out giving cars a push from the start, they're helping clean up after a mistake has been made. NASCAR recognizes that the years of dedications and service is ready to give the pickup trucks the center stage. Yesterday in California, NASCAR unveiled its new Super Truck Series, and this is how they looked at a test recently. The idea came from several West Coast truck enthusiasts, and they'll be American-made trucks only. So this means that Dodge will be back in NASCAR. The trucks will be run on Winston Cup-style chassis and have a 9-to-1 compression engine and should cost about 60 grand. Gee, order me 3 today. They'll run 4 exhibition races beginning at the end of July, and 1995 could see as many as 15 events, mostly on the short tracks. Now, for the Winston Cup boys, road racing usually means a good bit of off-road racing. And today, the Oval boys will make both left and right turns at Sears Point. And looking at some of the top qualifiers in our Jiffy Lube starting grid, we see that past Sears Point winner Ernie Irvin hustled his Haviland Ford to the pole for the 3rd time this year. Mark Martin made a nice comeback after crashing his primary car in practice and will start next to Irvin on the outside. In looking at other selected starters, we see that Dale Earnhardt goes after his first ever road course win from the 4th spot. Wally Dallenbach may be having his troubles qualifying on the ovals, but he's back on familiar turf as the STP driver lines up on a competitive 7th. Road race ace Rusty Wallace rolls off 11th this afternoon, and defending race champ Jeff Bodine had to requalify yesterday and was fastest to earn the 26th starting spot. And a man who has as many road race wins as any active Winston Cup driver, Darrell Waltrip, has his work cut out for him today. He will start way back in 33rd spot. And another stock car action, the ASA series is over in Toledo, and Ralph Shaheen has the preview of today's Glass City 300 that you'll see live right here on TNN.
For the last 4 years, the AC Delco Challenge Series has wrapped up its championship season at the Jennerstown Speedway, just outside of Pittsburgh. This year, that will all change, as the ASA Series will round off its season at one of the world's fastest cities, Las Vegas. During prime time on Wednesday night, November 2nd, TNN will air live flag-to-flag coverage of the event, which will be held on a temporary circuit directly across the street from the Las Vegas Convention Center. What makes this so exciting for the ASA teams and sponsors is that the Convention Center will be hosting the APAA SEMA show, which is the largest gathering of automotive-related companies in the world, that very same week. This week, however, the AC Delco Tour has raised its tent at the half-mile Toledo Speedway. Points leader Butch Miller didn't get any practice laps due to a faulty transmission. The car was fixed in time for qualifying, and the Quality Care Ford will start 6th at 108.3 miles per hour. Round 2 winner at Columbus, Mike Eddy, will start the GM Goodwrench Pontiac 5th at 108.4. Todd Forbes lapped the Ohio Oval at 108.7 miles per hour, and Noah Yoder Ford starts 4th. Scott Hansen had the fastest Chevy in the field with a lap at 108.8 miles per hour, good enough for 3rd on the grid. Glenn Allen Jr. hustled the Troop Motorsports Pontiac to a 109.3 lap. Little Glenn will start the Glass City 300 from the 2nd slot. It was the Bluebird, however, who had the speed to claim the AC Rochester pole position. Bob Seneker posted a 16.4-second lap at 109.4 miles per hour for the top spot in the Johnsonville Sausages supported Ford. The Las Vegas race story was one of the hottest rumors sweeping through the AC Delco Challenge Series garages at the beginning of the year. But as of today, we can tell you it is a fact. Dan Duvall, the president of Group 5 Sports, does have a signed contract from the Las Vegas Convention Center Bureau in his office. That race will be the richest in AC Delco Challenge Series history. And as we get closer to that November date, Pat, we'll have all the details for you right here on Race Day.
All right, thanks, Ralph. And that is big news for ASA, great news for the drivers in the series, and a very significant movement forward for that series. A bit earlier this morning, I had a chance to talk with Seneker in our AC Delco Sky Shot, and I asked him about the secret to getting around the Toledo track.
Well, this racetrack is extremely fast. It doesn't seem like anything's really going on until you get into trouble. It's hard to get stopped here because of the speed. The smoothness of the racetrack makes it seem like you can't get into trouble, but you really can. Strange things seem to happen here year after year.
Can you wear out a set of brakes? Is that a possibility for an afternoon on a half mile like that?
No, this track's not really hard on brakes. It's a little bit tough on rubber. You can wear them down pretty good, but it's mainly just kind of an attrition place. You need a good motor, and you just have to stay out of trouble.
A lot of people that are followers of the ASA, want to know a little bit more about how you guys come to the track and get prepared. Is this basically the same setup that maybe you rolled off the truck with the last time you were there?
It's real. I just lost my audio, but it's real close. We ran good here in the fall, and I just put the same numbers back in the chassis, and the car was really good off the trailer. We did a couple of adjustments, but the car is really pretty fast.
You got to have a lot of horsepower if you want to get off these turns, and as far as being competitive out there, you got a lot of guys that will be chasing you this afternoon that have that kind of horsepower.
Well, yeah, this is a really, really tough game. I really feel fortunate to put the Lane Automotive Johnsonville Ford on the pole, but that's just the start of this program. It's really going to be a tough race with Glenn and Butch and Mike behind me. This is a real tough field, and the race is going to be much different than qualifying. Final question for you, Bob. I know you'd love to win another championship this year. What are those prospects? Can you get that done this year? Have you got the right combination, you think? Well, we worked all winter, and I think we had everything in order until we got to the first race and we had an oil line problem, and that put us way back in the points, and we just got to climb back to the top. But there's still a possibility. We still want to do it. And this reminder, you can see it all live, and the rest of the ASA Stars battle it out today in Toledo, right here on TNN. It begins at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Should be a great race, so make sure if you got to mow the grass, get it done in a hurry so you can be there to do it. This just in, the F1 race was finished. Michael Schumacher won his 4th straight for Ford. Martin Blundell was 2nd, Gerhard Berger 3rd, Andre de Chezrich was 4th, and Jean Alesi rounded out the top 5. We've got lots more to talk about, but right now we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Race Day, everybody. How many times have you seen a video of an NHRA crash where you thought there was no way a driver could walk away unhurt, and then he jumped right out as if nothing had happened but a few bumps and bruises? The series is so safe, we sometimes forget that it can be very dangerous. Funny car driver Jerry Caminito had a serious crash on Friday, and Jason Young has our Mid-South Nationals Mopar performance report.
The cause of Caminito's crash was a rear spoiler malfunction. He hit the guardrail at over 279 miles per hour and suffered critical injuries. More on his condition in just a moment. In Funny Car, the top qualifier was Al Hoffman in the Western Auto Slick 50 Dodge. He covered the Memphis quarter mile with an ET of 517 at just over 297 miles per hour. In Top Fuel, the McDonald's pilot Corey McClanathan has been the man to beat in qualifying. At the McGuire's Mid-South Nationals, it was no different as Corey Mack turned in a 477 run with a speed just over 300 miles per hour.
Yeah, we're really excited to come out here and run 300 for the fans, and of course run another 470 for me. It's just, you got to put it all together on Sunday, though, so we're going to back her off a little bit and try to make it consistent for race day.
And in Pro Stock, it was a Dodge once again setting the pace. This time it was Darrell Alderman taking the top qualifier honors with a 711 pass and a speed of 194 miles per hour. This is Jason Young reporting for Race Day.
Thanks, J-Man. This morning, Caminito remains